Hello, Active Sage here on the Sage channel. It's Sleep, Art, Game, and Eat. And today they added and activated some very cool stuff, mainly the conveyor. So here we go, we have our old conveyor block that we're all very familiar with, which currently doesn't function, but now it will. So if you put stuff in the chest over here, you can access it from if you had another chest over here. Now, that's not all they did. They added special blocks such as these. These are small conveyor blocks where instead of being able to go in 4 directions, they only go in 1 or 2. And you can see there, they got this little light on them that's currently green. If we were to remove this, you can see the one here went red, meaning this conveyor pipe does not connect with anything else that it can transfer stuff through. Pretty dang cool. Unfortunately, I was hoping to use those actually as power indicators for a ship or station, but they stay on no matter what. Even if the station's unpowered, they'll still stay on in their red state or green state or however they're set up. Anyway, let's move on to some other stuff that's been added, like this weird block here. Now, this is a collector block. Anything you drop above it will fall straight into this and be sucked up and put into a container here. So let's fly over here and grab a box full of random stuff. This is an easy start 1 chest. Voila, got that. Fly back over here. I'm doing control and mouse to bring it a bit closer to me as I fly, and put it right above that. There we go. And now when we remove it, you can see a bunch of stuff fell off the side, but anything that hit right in the middle there just vanished. And if we were to land down here, we can look in here. It's now full up with all sorts of little stuff. Now, these pipes here, as always, can transfer from crate to crate. The thing is, you can actually use a cargo container as a 4-way, or actually this is a 6-way conveyor block. So if you, for some reason, just wanted to route your stuff through other cargo containers, you could. So now let's go over here to our assembler, and it's saying, oh, you don't have anything in here. Now, we could easily enough fix that. Let me just disconnect this little station from the rest of the station. That way I'm not getting mixed up on what's connected to what. There we go. So we hop back in here. We got the collector that was collecting stuff. You can see you can turn it on and off. You can even set it to not use the conveyor system, which basically means if I was to put something over it and delete it, that stuff that just fell isn't going into that chest. It's just sitting there in the collector. So if we go back to this, actually in inventory, you can see if we scroll down, there is the collector right here with all the stuff that we just dropped. It hasn't been transferred into the small cargo container like everything else. But anyway, let's say we want to build something. We're in here, we're like, okay, what do we want to build? We want to build just some interior plates, but as it's saying, we don't have any, right? As soon as we tell it the queue, it starts transferring the needed supplies from anywhere it can get it. And voila, it's pulling it all from here through a cargo container into this cargo container and then into the assembler itself. Now, a funny thing is, you see that block up here? This is called a connector. Now, eventually these are designed so that you can connect a large ship to a large ship or a small ship to a small ship. You can see this here, or we'll see that later on. A small ship has a thing about that size that would basically fit together. Currently though, all these do is spit stuff out if you want them to. So I could go ahead and let's pop this open, go back to our control panel, actually inventory. We got our new things we just built. Let's take them and scroll down. While I'm clicking and dragging, I'm using the scroll wheel now too, and put it in the connector. Now, it's not automatically going to spit those out, but if we go into here and we say throw out, anything that you've put into the connector will now be spit out. So if we were to fly up here, you can see now it's spit out those 6 panels. Now, you might have noticed there was another switch there. So if we were to go ahead and say, here we go, connector, go ahead and collect all. Collect all, you might think it means collect stuff from sitting on top of it. No, it means collect all from as far as it can reach. So it's going to start pulling the stuff out of there, out of here, anything that was in there, anything in there, and anything from in this assembler. And as you could probably see there, it's starting to spit stuff out the top like crazy. Big old mess. Actually pretty dang cool though. And I believe if we were to go in here, let's go ahead and check the connector. Actually, no, we need to check the connector from here. And I think the connector, yep, you can see stuff is being pumped into it and then slowly pumped out. Now the collector is even being drained. Even though the collector is set to not use conveyor system, the other thing of course is somehow pulling it through anyway. So it's a bit strange. Anyway, let's shut that off before we get too many things just floating about. Let's go, yep, connector. Don't throw anything out anymore. There we go. We could have left it still throw out what it had in there and stop pulling, but of course we saw there was a lot of stuff stored in there. Anyway, moving on to something else. This is just a very basic setup of what I had over there. Let's move on to, this is basically the same thing we just had. Here we go, this one. Now, this is a setup so that we have our collector here, so you could drop ore in. It goes through a conveyor, another conveyor, into this conveyor here, which is connected to both of these things. The idea being you drop your ore in here, it goes to this point, detects, oh, hey, this is ore, pumps it in there, gets refined, and then gets pumped back out into the connector and back into an assembler. So let's go ahead and test that really quickly. I'll go grab some ore. Alrighty, so I got some iron out of those large storage things there. And now let's go ahead and drop it into the thing up top as we were just talking about. So plop, let's pop open our inventory and drop it, and pretty much instantly it's disappeared into there. And if you listen carefully, you can hear that the systems have popped online, and if I look in here, it is indeed refining it. So now let's go ahead and go into here and say, hey, machine, would you kindly build me some of these again? And any second now it should realize that it has a connection to an area where there is some iron through this area here. Alrighty, so it doesn't look like it's able to pull back through that same thing for some reason. Of course, I'm assuming that if we were to go ahead and, let's just cut this up a little bit here, that way we have some more room to work. If we were to go ahead and put these, oh, not that one, sorry, put this right here and tell it to work, as per usual, it'll still be able to go ahead and make some stuff. So let's go ahead and tell it to build. Apparently it's being more fickle now. It's not actually pulling stuff out of the refinery. It's very, very strange. Starting to wonder if there's some sort of little glitch here. Let's see. Go ahead and say, all it needs is iron. We got iron. That's very, very strange. It might be possible. Yeah, there's definitely a door on this side of it, and I can access it. Alrighty, so for some odd reason, it doesn't seem to want to be able to pull stuff out of the refinery. I've done some pipes to see if that works. It still doesn't seem to work. So let's go ahead and just cut this off, disconnect this whole station, pop back in here, make sure that wasn't the issue. Indeed, it is still not transferring from the refinery into the assembler. Very, very strange. So now we're going to go ahead and just click and drag this from the refinery into the assembler. You can see it actually highlights where you can drag these. And voila, it's now taken the supplies and put them into our assembler. So now we can actually access our assembler and say, hey, kindly make some stuff, and it will. Maybe I missed something? No, it says to use conveyor systems. Maybe in the future they'll add a pull in and pull out sort of thing here. But currently it seems to be a bit glitchy. Hopefully this is just a small issue on this one platform. Anyway, let's keep on moving. Down here we have a huge setup. Now, if what I didn't work, we're about to be in a really big spot of bother. But let's hope it does work this time. So I'm going to go grab some more ore. Alrighty, so I got a bunch more ore. I'm going to fly up here to this large drop-off box here. And you can see this is made out of light armor, unlike the other ones. That means it's probably going to dent up heavily. But it's a pretty simple and straightforward system. So I'm going to go ahead and just start dropping all this stuff in there. I got a few ores, as you can see. And they've all been dropped in. They roll down, they get collected. Now, the idea behind this, if it's all working as intended, is that pulls from, right there, that collector, into our conveyor system, and then it's hooked up to a bunch of different refineries. Now, let's go ahead and make sure this is cut free. That way it's not going to be interfered with at all from any of the other systems in this place. And if we were to go ahead and pop open one of these windows now, you should be able to see that the refineries are working. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have a smart sorting system. So it didn't automatically detect that, hey, this one refinery is working and put it into another one. It's put it all into just one refinery. Now, because they are all connected, as you can see there, I could click and drag and just cut it up and put this stuff into different refineries, and they should all be, yeah, you can see they're all working separately now. Which is nice, but it's not an automated system. So even though there are 3 different refineries here, it wasn't detecting that. Also, you might have noticed there that an unfortunate thing as well, even though it's refining this stuff, you can see that, again, the iron bars and whatnot are not being transferred out, because I have the large piece here that leads down to a container. In an ideal world, they would automatically be transferred down here into this large cargo crate, which I think, I can't tell exactly which one it is. Oh crap, I just put that in a collector on accident. That was a massive mistake. Okay, whatever. Anyway, the point is I was trying to put it in this cargo crate. Anyway, the idea was that they go from these refineries into this, and then of course this is connected up to an assembler through these pipes here, goes into the back of the assembler. As we already know, the assembler can pull from cargo crates and stuff, so it would easily enough be able to pull from that. And then once it's done, I was hoping that I'd be able to click and drag and easily enough transfer the finished products into this without having to basically go in and, oh, okay, my items are done, you know, put them in your inventory and run them over there. So a little unfortunate that it seems to be working that way. Of course, I can bypass it all if it's not going to be automated by simply going and finding, let's say the iron, and then clicking and dragging it all the way to this assembler. That's basically taking it from whichever one of those refineries it was in, through the pipes, through that, through there, into this, and voila, now let's say, hey, would you kindly make me some of these and some of these? Hey, check that out, they're getting done. We find our assembler, it's getting done with its parts, and then we could take and click and drag those back into whichever one of these storage containers. This larger cargo container, and there should be a second one too. So I'm believing it's the second one, so now we could drag this platinum, not platinum, this iron up here from our assembler all the way down to this other large cargo container. And now if we were to go over here, it should just be in here. Yep, large cargo container 2, it's transferred it to there. So unfortunately not the most automated system, but if let's say you have you could basically do all sorts of ship systems from miles and miles away now. So you could have a place where you drop off your ore, they get refined miles away, and then you just open up a control panel anywhere else in the ship and transfer it over to your assembler, tell your assembler to build something from miles away, and then transfer that to where a cargo crate near where you're actually working and get your stuff out of there. It'll be very, very, very quick and easy. Really quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and fix these up for the heck of it. Alrighty, one of the last few things I gotta show are these small ships with all their stuff set up on them. Now, right here at the front, I'll start out with the simplest of them all, the mining ship. I'll go ahead and power it up, and I'll go into first person. And of course, a mining ship works as per usual, except for now, behind each of these drills, connected up to the back control point of them, I have a large collector of, well, basically, it's conveyors. Now what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and start mining this. Now because we have this large collection trough below me, there's actually no need for me to have those collectors, or have all those conveyors behind me gathering stuff up, because if I just mine here, it's going to fall down into that trough, right? Because it's in gravity. So what I can do is go ahead and, here's connectors, I'll just tell these to start throwing everything in my ship's inventory, because I have large cargo containers, or at least medium cargo containers hidden inside this thing, out instantly. So as soon as I mine, you should be seeing at the very bottom of the ship, if I stop mining, since we have a surplus, you can see a few being spit out there. And so I can just keep on mining, and this ship will just keep on spitting out everything it gathers up. Now, of course, if I didn't have this large trough below me to collect this and instantly take it and refine it, and by the way, we'll go, since, right, I'm still spitting out, oops. But anyway, since we know now that this small connector here doesn't actually work to take something into a refinery and then back out into assembler, now we can of course just manually go ahead and say, hey, all that processed stuff you've got right here, go ahead and put that in our assembler kindly. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, of course, it doesn't just automatically pull it out whenever we need it, which is, yeah, a little unfortunate. Actually, looks like it did that time. Okay, so this one worked when the other one didn't. Clearly the system is a bit finicky. Maybe it's possible that certain doors on the refineries don't work. Not exactly sure yet. Anyway, that time it did work, where I told it to transfer some stuff, and apparently it did. Let's go ahead and check this again. Yep, assembler doesn't have any metal in it. Let's go ahead and assign it to make some metal stuff. Nope, this time it's definitely not pulling it through. Okay, bit strange. Oh, right, because we don't have any more metal. It did last time though. That's unexpected. Let's go ahead and find our mining ship and mine ourselves some more stuff, and we'll come over here and drop it off in a minute. But to do that, we're going to go ahead and ensure that these connectors are off, because we're also going to use another ship doing this as well. So let's fly around to the other side of this asteroid where we do not have any gravity. So voila, we're in a gravityless area, and you can see that our scanners keep picking up iron and stuff pretty far away. And the iron right here, that's not too far away. Now as we're mining this, we're of course collecting bunches and bunches of stuff in our inventory, and unlike last time, they're not being spit out the bottom. Now, you might notice, if you've done a lot of mining in this game, that every now and again you get pieces of iron and just rocks floating away. Now, I don't think we're getting too much here. You can see a few, but there's another thing that they've added that'll make pickup of that much, much easier. So let's just do a little bit more mining. Oops, I seem to have, yeah, this was, I should have probably been a bit more cautious while mining. I've just taken out my light. Anyway, let's go ahead and stop, and you see there we got a few pieces being flung out. Yeah, something like that. Now I'm going to go grab another ship to pick this stuff up real quick. Alrighty, so here we are on another ship. It's basically the same design, except for having drills on the front. Now it has two of these large collectors on the front, so that way if I find a bunch of stuff floating away, I could simply grab it. And you see a little piece right up there to my right, and we can just line this up and Yep, it's gotten sucked up. So, in an ideal world, you probably have one person operating the mining ship and another person operating a small collector ship such as this. That is if you don't have a gravity environment like we did on the other side. If you have a gravity environment, you're probably just going to have one mining ship and that's about it. Oh, that rock was much smaller than I thought. Anyway, now of course we would take this stuff that we mined and actually let me just mine a bit more iron. That way we have something to see if that one refinery thing is actually working through that conveyor block now. Alrighty, now that we got a fair amount of iron inside this ship, we can go ahead and once again tell our connectors to go start emptying out those cargo containers that we have inside this ship. We actually have 3 of them, but looks like the only one filled up. So it's going to start dropping all that stuff out the bottom again and putting it into that through these connectors here into the square connector into the refinery. And now if we go ahead and look in here, you should be able to see, is it going to start building these as it refines our iron? I don't think it will quite yet, because I suspect if we go to our refinery right down here, it hasn't actually gotten to the iron yet. So we got to wait a minute to see if it does. Because there's a lot of stone in this ship that's being pumped out, and there's no really easy way to just sort. Well, I guess maybe we could sort. Let's test this. Alright, so you can sort what it drops off first by simply taking it and there we go. It's now, this is what's up next. Or even dragging the ferrite to the connector to say, hey, drop that first, please. This actually, connector 2 doesn't look like it's dropping because that number is not going down. It must be. It's just a glitch, I guess. Anyway, let's see. Is it still dropping? Yes, indeed it is. So now let's go back here, now that everything's dropping correctly, and see, are you actually outputting? And let's, of course, take this refinery and sort it so that it starts refining the iron. And voila, you can actually hear that. It is pumping it back through that single connector joint. So I don't know why it didn't work way up there at that one platform. I could have sworn everything was hooked up correctly, but I don't know. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. Alrighty, so I have one last thing to show you guys, really, and that would be these little combat ships over here. Now this one, there's no way, I believe, at all to auto-load this one, so I'm not even going to be bothering showing that, but there is this one here, and if I was to pop it open, actually I can't do that, I'm in survival mode to make the ammo work. I have the gun set up, and if I actually can show you a gun, you can see the ammo loading ports are on the sides, the left and right of the gun, basically. I don't believe there's one on the bottom, no there isn't, and there's not one on the back. I actually had to edit this ship between what you're seeing now and the last time I was talking, because I had the gun set up a wee bit wrong. I had the ammo thing trying to feed into the very back. But anyway, this gun doesn't have any power in it or any ammo, so what we have to do to even get it running is hop in here, and we're actually going to be drawing some stuff out of those large cargo containers way over there, because there's pipes under all of this connecting it together, and there's no real distance limitation right now. So let's go ahead and pop it open. Actually, I do hope there will never be any sort of real distance limitation. And let's go ahead and find those large cargo containers I was aiming at. There we go. Here they are. Let's find some refined uranium. There we go. There's some. So I've right-clicked. I'm dragging and drag it all the way up to the container that we're at. This one here. And I'm going to give it, let's say, 10 uranium, more than enough to keep things going for a while. You can see it's actually dropped a little bit there right away. It's because it's being pulled out of this cargo container, the closest one to any reactor that's hooked up, and actually, I think it's the closest one, but it's being pulled out to be fed into reactors that are hooked up around this place, so that's why it was disappearing like that. Anyway, let's also go ahead and grab ourselves some ammo. Let's say, let's do 12, not too much. There we go, that should be more than enough. And let's go ahead and load this ship up. So at the back here, I got my reactor here. I didn't want it to auto-feed because that would mean I'd need a different system probably, or at least I'm not sure. I didn't want to risk it feeding the ammo into, or the uranium into the guns or anything like that. I think it's smart enough to avoid that, but this is also the same setup as that ship over there. And with the fact that it has the connectors at the bottom that spit stuff out, if I told it to spit everything out, I had a feeling it would pull from the reactor, so I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to make a secondary system. So here we go, we got power now, we can fly it up. We can't just press K and click and drag from the cockpit and move our ammo to where we want it, unfortunately, so we can't just click and drag like that. We have to actually get out and put it in there manually into either the storage containers or the guns. Now, I have on the bottom of this ship that I didn't have on the other ones is a large collector like this. We still have the connectors I can spit out just in case I need to spit out any excess ammo or anything, but we do have a collector. That way I can just take our ammo, drop it, and it'll automatically go feed right into the turrets. And so if we hop back in here and we go ahead and open our inventory, now that we go down here, you can see it's split it between two of our turrets here, our two turrets, and then the excess has been put into one of the medium cargo containers, which is pretty dang cool. So now we can open fire. Unfortunately, there's no place on our UI to see just how much ammo we have left, but once it runs out, it's going to automatically pick up more from that cargo container. If we look here, these have dropped to 3. That's at 3 too, and that was at 5. So it's been eating through it and transferring it equally between the two weapons, which is very, very, very nice. Now something I do have set up though for a quick refuel is I can fly it over here. Now I'm still firing just to run the ammo down. Yep, there we go. One ran out. And any second, there we go. The other one was run out. I've set up this quick refuel point where I can basically bring the ship over here next to this connector and let my engine sear the ship a little bit apparently, but we can line this up so that as the ammo that I have in there pops out of this connector, it'll be flown into the collector and refuel our ship. It's not the most ideal setup in the world. Again, hopefully in the future they'll have it so these little connectors can actually connect and you'll be able to access things more reasonably, but for now this will do. And what we're going to do here is we're going to pop this open. We're going to try to find our small machine that spits these out. That would be our connector, and I think it's connector 2. I could be wrong. There's an awful lot of connectors. There's no easy way to do this, but the easiest way of all would probably be to sever the station. So I'm going to really quickly do that. That way all these other any other connectors that I have lying about don't get, well, lumped into this category. So give me a second. And let me also cut through this, and you see the different layers there. There we go. And now you can see that this whole area is disconnected from everything else, so our UI will be much, much simpler now. So let's pop this open. Voila, it's only showing 3 little things. And we already have some ammo in the connector, but that'll actually do for now. It should be more than enough. So let's go ahead and now tell this connector to kindly, and actually this is, you know, one of the reasons you should probably be naming your stuff a bit better. I actually named this one ammo exporter. I forgot about that though. Let's go ahead and tell this now to go ahead and throw stuff out, and I have to do extract all to get it to pull from this, or else it would just throw the 40 out. Actually, we don't even want that. We want it to just throw the 40 that it already has in the connector out instead of transferring all these to it and then tossing them out. So let's just turn that off, and now those will stay there, but it's just going to toss those out. You can see here it's tossing it down right into our ship. Voila, we got a bunch of ammo in there now, and we can keep on fighting. In an ideal world, when those connectors work, it'll be much easier, but for now you could just hop out and, as long as you don't get lost in the UI like I did, pretty quickly be able to resupply your ammo. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, this stuff is pretty complicated. You know, like that one assembler glitch. Oops, I thought I was going to clear that. One assembler glitch I had, it can be a bit finicky, but overall, I think it's pretty damn awesome, and I'm pretty damn happy with all of it. It's going to definitely mean some changes to survival and stuff that are only for the better, and God, I actually can't wait to be able to hook this up and speed some things up, as long as we don't get those assembler glitches, which I'm pretty sure we won't. I'm pretty sure the only reason I got it was because it was such a big station, and somewhere in there the logic of what should be transferred where probably got confused. Even though the pipes weren't connected, it probably still tried to pull something from somewhere else and just couldn't get it. Anyway, thanks a bunch for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, one last thing really quick. They've also added these. You see at my hotbar, number 6? Yeah, there's big turrets now, or at least big directional weapons. But I'm pretty dang sure they didn't actually intend to add these, because if I was to hop in here and, let's say, try to actually fire these, well, for one, I'm not getting any little red target dots, or at least I am, but they're, if you look, they're actually on the ship itself. So if I fire, yeah, it doesn't exactly go to plan. You can still see my cockpit, but can't really access it. Anyway, that's it. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.